Thank you. Well, let's have a massive round of applause for everyone who's organised this event today, and for everyone who's been at Camp Beagle over the last few years. The eyes and the ears in this country to the cruelty of vivisection. Now, every year in Britain and across Europe, 6.5 million animals are used for medical research. Do any of you think that's right?
No!
And that's dogs, that's cats, that's primates, that's guinea pigs, that's rats, that's mice, that's fish. And all of those sentient beings have rights. All of those sentient beings suffer unquestionable cruelty as a result of research for household chemical products, for some ingredients that are still going into cosmetics, and of course for pharmaceuticals and veterinary medicine. Do you think that's right?
No!
And it's only right that the anti-vivisection movement is here over the last few days in London, when we've seen tens of thousands of people coming together to say that they've had enough of exploitation, had enough of greed, had enough of ignorance, had enough of cruelty that is pushing this fragile planet we call home to the edge of destruction. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
Because vivisection is all part of that ignorance and stupidity and cruelty and greed that is so damaging to the future of human civilization. Now, people in this country have been campaigning against animal testing for over 150 years. Yet the numbers of animals in laboratories, in research facilities, are not coming down. And in many ways, the numbers are creeping up. And the number of tests and the number of so-called research trials that involve cruelty are increasing in an increasingly secret world. Do any of you think that's right?
No!
Now, lots of these experiments and research projects don't lead to human benefits. In fact, we know that much of the science that's gleaned from animal research doesn't replicate itself well into human medical studies. And in many cases, huge amounts of money, huge amounts of cruelty have taken place, which have actually slowed progress when it comes to finding cures for Alzheimer's, for cancer, for heart disease and other diseases and problems that afflict all of us. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
But also the medical research facility and many of the sympathisers of vivisection will say, Dominic, but some of the research does work. Some of it does lead to medical benefits. And you know what? I'm not going to say that's not happening, but I'll say this. Ethically, it's not right that we torture animals for human benefit. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
And that's what this debate is about. It's not about science, it's about ethics. It's about us as humans. If we treat our domestic animals, our companion animals, our dogs and cats, in such a way that we treasure them, because we know the benefits they bring to our physical and mental health. We have laws that MPs in this chamber here have introduced that can send you to prison for up to 5 years if you treat a dog like this inhumanely. And I would fully support those laws. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
But at the same time, the Home Office across the road there are issuing licenses for legal torture of those dogs, and no one is going to prison. And that is wrong. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
You know, I spent Friday meeting some friends in London, and one of them works in a significant medical research foundation, and she's a leader in her field. I've got great respect for the amazing work she's doing. And we talked about animal research, and she sympathised with a lot of what I was saying. But what I took away from the discussion was this: we're not seeing enough bright, clever people going into pharmaceutical and medical research to drive out animal testing. We're seeing too many people coming in, maintaining the status quo. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
So what I'm saying to everyone here is, if you've got children, if you've got people at university, please get them to work in the areas of medical research where we can find alternatives to animal testing. Because we have amazing technologies coming through in our society, artificial intelligence and other areas in particular, that can bring about significant change. But we're going to have to break the status quo of the politicians, of the pharmaceutical industry, of the scientific establishment, and to a degree, I'm afraid, of the veterinary establishment as well, that keep this horror show on the road. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
And this other point I'll leave you with. Some people say to me, Dominic, how can you have a COVID vaccine if you don't agree with animal testing? Well, I'll tell you this, I had a COVID vaccine because I want to protect myself and my family. But I didn't agree with the fact that primates or other animals were involved in medical research to develop that product. Would you agree?
Yes!
And it's just like saying If you drive a car and you use petrol, which most of us do at some point, we have no right to talk about climate change. Absolute utter nonsense. We live in a planet where we rely on huge amounts of services and resources. But I don't agree with the exploitation and cruelty of animals to provide me with those resources, and I have a right, and you do, to speak out to say things must bloody change. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
So don't let anyone play that ethical argument with you, because it's utter nonsense. It's a bit like the trophy hunters that keep telling me that they're in it for conservation, not for killing. What utter manure, wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
And the scientists that support them are morally drinking in the gutter as far as I'm concerned, and they better look in the mirror and think about what conservation really means, because it doesn't mean killing in that way. And that's the issue we have here. NBR Beagles is a horrible business, but it's a very profitable business. It can't even meet the capacity of the dogs that it breeds in the UK in these terrible conditions that you've been objecting to and others for so long. To a degree that we're now seeing our dogs being flown in secretly from the United States and other parts of the world to supplement the animal testing laboratories and the academic institutions in places like Oxford and Cambridge, so that certain academics can get peer-reviewed papers published by torturing animals. That is completely and utterly wrong. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
To profit from the cruel treatment of these dogs, to transport them across the world, to perpetuate medical science and research that often is flawed, is completely and utterly wrong. And there should be a moral imperative to say enough is enough. We don't want any more torture. We don't want many more animal experiments. We want to create science and innovation for human civilization that doesn't destroy the natural world, that protects humans and animals. Wouldn't you agree?
Yes!
So you need to keep on campaigning. You need to keep on speaking out. I'm afraid a change of government is likely to come next year, but there won't be a significant shift in the problems that we face. If we have a Labour government, it's not going to be significantly different to a Conservative government, because the same lobby groups in the medical research facilities, the same veterinary industry lobby groups, the same pharmaceutical and regulatory lobby groups will all be influencing a new set of politicians saying, I'm afraid there's no alternative, we must keep going. Well, there is an alternative. You don't need to keep going. There are new techniques and new ways to do things. We need to harness that technology. We need to ethically say that we no longer want to cruelly treat animals in this way, and we must keep forcing the politicians to act, the drug companies to act, the veterinary industry to act, and we can never ever stay silent in the face of torture and cruelty. People will dismiss you. They'll say you're emotional. They'll say you don't understand. You're animal rights extremists. You're not animal rights extremists. You're the best of care and compassion in this world, as all the people that have been on the streets of this city over the last weekend are as well. Because ultimately, when historians look back at this massive period of change in human civilization, it will be you that will stand out as the ones that were talking sense. It will be you that will stand out as the ones who are caring and compassionate for the future. It was you that will be talking about what we really need to do to make this world a better place for both people and animals, that is so crucially important to the next generation coming behind us. So thank you very much. Keep fighting, keep speaking, and keep shouting.
Thank you.